It's no secret that some peptides are a little bit more experimental than others. Some of them are tested, studied, and actually pretty good. The others are a little more experimental, and nothing is more experimental and dangerous to the marketplace to me than one specific peptide that I am seeing become rampant across the health and wellness community. There's peptides to get you lean, there's peptides to get you jacked, but nothing scares me more than the peptide that gets you tan, skinny, and horny. I'm talking about none other than Melanotan 2. I'm seeing this get drastically abused in the marketplace, and in this video I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to properly use this compound so that you don't end up on the wrong side of a news story. If you ever wanted to have a tan 12 months out of the year, but you don't have enough time in the day and there's not enough sun where you live, that's exactly why they made Melanotan 1 and Melanotan 2. The problem is a lot of people have begun to abuse it and they're seeing more harm than good. By the end of this video, I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about what not to do and what to do to get the best results in the healthiest way possible while using these products. Let's get into it. If you haven't seen it already, this product is flooding the gym and wellness community, primarily in younger audiences, guys who really care about the way they look. A lot of them want to have that tan all year round. I know I'm someone who, when I'm pale, I look disgusting in comparison to when I have even just a light layer tan. Like right now, this is some of the lighter I usually am. I usually get a lot darker than this. Everybody knows the saying, if you can't tone it, tan it. A bad physique can very easily be covered up by a good tan, which is why a lot of people are abusing this stuff, but they don't realize how dangerous it can be if it's not monitored correctly. Before we do the deep dive, it is important to note that I'm not a doctor. This is definitely not medical advice, and nothing I say in this video should be misconstrued with medical advice in any way, shape, or form. And if you're going to follow through with any of these protocols, make sure you're only doing so under the direct supervision of a licensed physician or medical director who has direct experience with these products. Now, let's get into it. There's two products that are mainstream in peptide tanning. It's Melanotan 1 and Melanotan 2, and although they sound similar, they're drastically different products. Both products are a lab-created version of a hormone that's already in our body called alpha MSH. This hormone signals to special receptors in our skin cells called our MC1R, which stands for melanocortin 1 receptor. These are the cells on the top layer of our skin that produce our melanin, how dark our skin is going to get. Although they don't just affect your skin color, it also changes the color of your hair as well as the color of your eyes. The more melanin that gets produced in our melanocytes, the darker our skin is going to get when it comes in contact with UV rays. Think of it like this. Your skin cells are a bakery, and we make bread in this bakery. The bread is our final product. That's our melanin, how dark our skin's going to get. Melanotan is the chef who walks up to the oven and cranks the heat way up to make the bread cook faster and darker. We've now gone from white bread to rye bread. Now here's the difference between the two Melanotan products. Melanotan 1 is only focusing on the temperature of the oven. It's only focusing on how dark the skin gets. Melanotan 2 isn't just the guy that cranks up the heat. He's also the guy that just came back from his lunch break with 2 handles and goes starts a party in the break room. That's your increased libido. Gives the phrase brick oven bakery a whole new meaning. But it doesn't stop there. After he got the whole staff hammered, they went and gave all their bread away to the homeless, because why not? That's your appetite suppression. Melanotan 2 is a 3-pronged approach. It's not only the tan, it's also the horny and the skinny. That's why they call it the Barbie drug, because it gets these people tan, skinny, and horny. Can you think of a better drug for spring break? But just like anybody who has an afternoon full of drinking, he's going to notice some side effects after he throws that party in the break room. Now he feels nauseous. Now he's bloating. Now he feels sick. And that actually happens to a lot of Melanotan 2 users. Over 40% of users typically report some feeling of nausea or uneasiness in their stomach, along with things like flushing and blood pressure changes. And to the wrong patient, that could be a pretty scary sight. Aside from the immediate pain and discomfort of Melanotan, which is not a huge deal, the much greater concern lies in its potential to even cause or accelerate cancer because of its ability to rapidly darken moles and freckles. This is why it's so important to work with a proper medical professional, because if someone doesn't ask you these questions ahead of time, or if someone doesn't screen you for these type of things, you could quite literally accelerate cancer in your body, which is ridiculous all over trying to get a suntan. There's way easier ways to do this. I'm going to go over them here in a second. But it's really important to note to be careful when you're doing peptides. You can't just blindly start injecting things because you saw something online. I want to make this abundantly clear. And I know I probably sound like a bit of a hypocrite because I am someone who has tried a lot of different things, but I never do things without proper study and understanding of a product. And I try to put myself in as little danger as possible while still pushing the boundary. The only other reported negative between these two is that they do increase sun-seeking activity, which is defined as someone who just wants to be in the sun more because they want the products to work better. The whole point of the original use of the products was made in the 1980s at University of Arizona, trying to find a substitute for being in the sun, especially for melanoma patients so that they wouldn't get skin cancer. If their skin was dark enough, they could go be outside. But what's happening now is people are realizing if you take these Melanotan products and then immediately get in the sun, the effects are drastically improved, specifically in the skin tanning aspect. So we go through this balancing act of the skin is going to react to the sun a lot faster and a lot stronger. That doesn't necessarily mean you should be in the sun more. It does, however, mean that there are effective ways to time your sun use. And I'm going to go over now all of the ways to mitigate most of the negatives that come with these products, and then I'm going to finish with how to improve the efficacy. Starting with most people's biggest concern for Melanotan 2 is going to be the immediate nausea. For me, I would be more concerned with the cancer. What I've found to be a pretty effective protocol is just taking some sort of ginger root supplement in the morning and then taking my Melanotan a little bit later, and I've seen pretty much all forms of pain, nausea, discomfort all go away anytime I'm using Melanotan. If you're someone who the blood pressure or the flushing is a concern for, magnesium glycinate is very effective at relaxing the blood vessels. Now here's the one that matters for me the most, and I've been using this supplement for a year now, and I cannot rant and rave about it enough, and that is Astaxanthin. It has two incredible properties. The first one is it acts as its own level of UV protection, but in a more mild level. As a lot of you guys know, I am very anti big sunscreen companies because they have proven time and time again to just be detrimental to the human body. Now, there are arguments for things like pure zinc sunscreens and whatnot, which are fine, but as a general rule of thumb, I have found Astaxanthin to be way more effective and long-term safe. Not only safe, but also provide benefits. One of the coolest parts about Astaxanthin is it's also able to soak up ROSs, and if you watch my last video, you know that stands for reactive oxidative species. So for most people, the reason they don't want to be in the sun too much is they're afraid of sun damage. I actually had some for a long time, and when I started taking the Astaxanthin, I noticed the sun damage specifically on my chest area completely removed. This was probably the greatest shift in terms of what I noticed from a physical appearance, as well as I've been experienced a sunburn, and I can't even tell you the last time that it happened to me, and I do not take any measure to avoid the sun. I have spent 6 hours straight in 8-9 UV, and I don't use any sunscreen, and this has proven to be incredibly effective at preserving the quality as well as the safety of my skin. So I would definitely recommend doing something like this if you are going to be using Melanotan, or just in general and you plan on being in the sun. This is a way safer alternative to sunscreen, and it also provides skin benefits. I would also suggest something like vitamin C, which is going to help keep your skin healthy and fresh, especially if you're going to be spending time in the sun. That's really the #1 thing to focus on. Now, you can go get all the benefits of being in the sun, not just aesthetically by having the darker skin tone, but also the mental benefits and the physical benefits. People don't realize how powerful sunlight exposure is, as well as how much of a necessity it is to all forms of life. There is no reason that every other organism on the planet actively seeks out sunlight, and human beings are the one species exception that shouldn't be in the sun. I can't stand it when you get people trying to tell you, oh, well, limit your sunlight exposure. The problem is not the sunlight. The problem is that we are cooking ourselves from the inside out by eating things like seed oils, exposing them to high temperatures, and then expecting those reactive oxygens not to cause oxidative damage in our skin cells. What did you think was going to happen? It's a very similar equivalent of dousing your arm in kerosene and then holding a flame up to it and then wondering why your whole arm ignited. And then you sit there and wonder, well, why would my whole arm ignite if I'm only holding the flame in this one spot? Because you just coated your entire body in the most flammable chemical that exists. So I can't stand this notion that the sun is just so pure evil for you. Now I could go down this rabbit hole for hours with you guys, but I'll try to stay on topic and focus primarily on the Melanotan. So let's get into how you can make it work better. The first thing to pair with either one of these products is going to be NAD+ or NMN. If you're new to this page, NMN is just a precursor to NAD+, and the whole point of NAD is to create more cellular energy, more ATP. Melanocortin receptors, the ones that talk to our melanocytes, need cellular energy in order to make that connection happen so that your skin knows to darken. Simply put, the more ATP, the more energy that's inside of our cells, the more signal that we can push to our melanocytes to tell our skin to produce more color. Think of it like updating your FedEx order from ground shipping 3 to 5 days all the way up to overnight. It's just going to make the process happen more effective. The other peptide I would throw in the mix on this one is going to be BPC-157, specifically with Melanotan 2, because as we know, it's not just going to affect our skin, it's also going to affect our libido, our appetite, and a lot of time that's where the nausea comes from, and that can end up causing some pretty serious damage to the gut lining. BPC is really effective at keeping that gut lining restored and in quality condition. After my experience trying nearly every different peptide that's out there, in my stage now, I'm probably someone who's going to veer more towards Melanotan 1 instead of Melanotan 2. I don't need the skinny and the horny. I've got other stuff for that, and to me, it's not worth the negatives that come with it. I would rather just focus on something like Melanotan 1 and only focus on the skin benefits as opposed to having to deal with the mole darkening as well as the gut problems and the libido thing. Like I don't need, I have testosterone for it. Okay. Some of you guys might be asking now, wait a minute, why doesn't Melanotan 1 affect the darkening of your moles and freckles, but Melanotan 2 does? They both affect the skin. How's that possible? Good question. Smart consumer. The Melanotan 1 operates at a much slower rate than the Melanotan 2. Not drastically slower, but slow enough that it's not a bam smack to the face that's going to immediately go to those freckles and moles. The reason that happens is if you don't get in the sun immediately after taking this stuff, your body wants to go start producing melanin. And if you have no sun, no UV exposure to start activating those cells, it's going to go where the melanin's already going right now, which is your moles, your freckles, and the darkest parts of your body. The best option remains, if you are going to use it, I would get in the sun immediately after using it, but I would only stay in the sun for a maximum of 30 minutes. You do not need to be out there for 2 hours. That's when you're going to run into too rapid of darkening and tanning, and you're going to run into some of these other sun-related issues of just frying yourself from the inside out. If you're asking my opinion, yes, I do believe there's a safe and effective way to use Melanotan 2. You just have to move so much of your life around it to make sure that you're getting in the sun immediately. It's only for 30 minutes, and that all of these pieces are lining up just to make it not kill you. I would rather just have the tan come a little bit slower and use the Melanotan 1 without having to worry about all of these other problems. I have enough peptides that require me to have a pretty rigorous schedule. I don't need another one right now, especially when the only thing I'm looking to get out of it is the skin benefit. But if you're into the whole idea of getting the libido and getting the appetite suppression benefits while getting tan, I'll tell you from firsthand experience, it does feel pretty awesome. But if you're concerned with some of the health drawbacks, I would start with just Melanotan 1 and then find other options for that libido and appetite suppression. If you're interested in improving the body in every form and facet, that's everything I post on this page. I teach you guys how to do it in the safest and most effective way possible. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you get notified every time there's a new video out, and I will see you guys in the next one.